Welcome back, everyone. I am so excited about today's show. I have entered the world of N-scale modeling. In fact, in today's video, I'm going to show you how to build my first N-scale kit that I've produced. It's called Jenkins Plastics. It has been so much fun designing this kit. And it's currently available on my website at jasonjensentrains.com. Now, there's going to be a lot more N-scale videos on my channel. I'm even going to start an N-scale layout. It's a shelf layout that is U-shaped. It's located in another room in the basement. It is going to be so much fun to take you on that entire build. All right, well, we have a lot to do today, so let's get to it. Okay, the first thing I did was spray a gray primer on all of the pieces. The walls, I did both sides. Now the brown pieces, I only did one side. Okay, now we'll go ahead and cut out all of our walls. Next, we're going to take all of the A and B walls and cut all of the windows and doors out. Refer to the instructions. Page 1, it'll give you all of the letters and numbers of the walls. Next, we're going to start to assemble the walls. So here's the back wall. Then we have the front wall, another front wall. You can tell the front wall by the 2 engraved squares on the side. That goes in the front. That small wall goes on the side. And there's a wall in the center and a wall on the other side. You'll see it has 2 windows at the top. Let me show you the center wall and how it is placed. Notice there's a little door at the top and a slit at the bottom. Okay, let's first start by gluing on the side wall. And you'll see it has the 2 windows at the top. So let's glue that in place. Okay, we'll take the back wall and just glue it to the side wall. We'll take our 1, 2, 3 block and place it in there to make sure it's nice and square. Okay, now we'll take the front wall, and you'll notice the front wall has 2 engraved squares on it. Those face out. Now we'll glue on the side wall, the opposite side. Now we'll glue on the middle wall. And notice there's a door opening at the top and a slit at the bottom. The slit faces towards the front of the structure. Okay, this is what it looks like so far. Make sure everything is nice and square. Now we'll glue on this front wall. Okay, now we're going to take the sheet marked AB and cut the columns out. Then we'll take the sheet marked B sides and we'll cut the columns out of that piece too. Leave the other pieces in there so that you don't get them mixed up. Okay, now we'll start to glue on the columns, and we'll start with this one. It goes right there. Note that it sticks up on the top. Now let's glue on the side one. Make sure it's flush on the bottom and note how it sticks up on the top. Now we'll do this side. Note how we're doing all of the sides first. We'll do the front and the back afterwards. All of the side pieces should be flush with the side of the structure. Okay, now we'll work on the front pieces. We have this one that goes right there. Note how it's flush on the end and sticks up just like the other ones. Then we have the one that goes right on the front. Now we'll glue on the back piece. I want to point out how they stick above the top. That way the roof card fits down in there. And we do not want to glue the roof cards in yet because we need to glue the windows in, and it's going to be easier to reach in from the top and the bottom to glue windows in. Now let's move on to our decorative trim that goes around the top. Now be sure to refer to the instructions to make sure that you have the right piece that goes on there. And always dry fit your pieces before you glue them. You can see how they fit level to the top of the trim that we put on there. You might want to file the very top to make sure it's nice and smooth because there's trim that gets glued around the edges. It's a cap. Well, if you did everything right and your structure is perfectly square, your roof cards should fit easily in place, but do not glue them in yet because we still have to get our windows put in. but you may want to just test fit the roof cards. Okay, now we'll build the structure that goes on the top, and it is on card C. Okay, I've cut the walls out and cut the windows out of them. Now let's glue them together. Now we want to file the edges a little bit just in case there's some little nubs from cutting them out of the sheet. Now the front wall has an engraved square on it. That faces forward. Now the back wall has 2 windows at the top. And then we have a side wall. It fits just like that. It has a window at the top. And then the other side wall is blank. Now we'll cut out all the trim on card C. And again, refer to the instructions for specific part numbers and letters. Okay, I've cut out all of the columns that get glued on there. Again, make sure you dry fit before you start gluing. But it's important to start with the side pieces. Take a square or a straight edge and make sure that your columns are flush to the side. Again, start with your side pieces and make sure they're flush to the edge. Now that all the columns are glued on, we can go to our decorative trim that goes around the very top edge. Again, make sure that you dry fit all of the pieces before you actually glue them to make sure that you have the correct pieces. Okay, this is where we're at so far. This is what the decorative trim looks like across the top. Now I just put the roof cards in place to show you what it'll look like, and we still have to put trim around the top, but make sure all your corners are nice and flush. Okay, this sits right on top. Now I will be offering another tower that will be sold separately that gets placed up on top to make it taller if you want to. Let me show you that quick. It's the same as the tower that we just built. You may want to put the windows on opposite sides. It's up to you. Now let's cut out our trim that goes around the top of the roof. We'll start with B. Then we have A, and there's 3 of them. And then we have C. You'll see the 3 sides, they go right there. And then C fits on the tower. Okay, A is finished, and let me show you the corners up close. You can see how they fit together. Okay, I just glued on the trim around the tower. Let me show you up close how the corners fit together. Again, follow the instructions and make sure that you have the right pieces. Okay, now that our trim's all done, let's start painting it. We're going to use chalk paint from Folk Art, and it's called Castle. Now we're going to apply the paint using a sponge. So go ahead and cover all the surfaces. You may want to go lighter at the bottom and heavier towards the top. Now I wanted to show you that the sponge does not get in the corners. So next, we're going to take a paintbrush, a small paintbrush, and we're going to paint in those corners. And we're going to use it kind of like a sponge and just kind of dab it. Now is a good time if you have any little cracks where the walls didn't or the trim didn't quite meet up with each other, you can fill it in with paint. Now we're going to paint the bottom portion red, and we're using French wine, and I just used blue painter's tape and masked off around the structure. And now we'll take a sponge and sponge the paint on. If you wanted to, you could use the color Thicket along the bottom. I think that'd be a nice contrast too. Okay, before we glue our windows in, we need to cut out the trim and glue it under all of the windows. They get glued under all the windows, and we have a couple pieces that get glued above the big garage doors and above the entrance doors. We're going to use slate gray. While we have the slate gray on our brush, let's do some dry brushing. So we're just going to hit the corners and the edges of things. Now we're going to get all that little trim glued on. And the best way is to use tweezers and dip it in glue and then put it on the structure. Now we'll take slate gray and paint the inside of those windows so that it matches that trim. And it fills in any little crack that's in between that trim and the actual cutout of the window. Okay, next we're going to tackle the windows, and I've got some done already. So what I did was I sprayed the sheet with a reddish brown primer. So now we'll take off all of the roof cards and we can cut out all of our doors and windows. Now we'll take a piece of acetate and we'll glue all of our cutout windows onto it. Okay, I have all the windows glued on. Next, we're going to make it look like some of them are patched. We're going to use slate gray and paint some of the window panes. Okay, the windows are all done. Here is the back side of it. Now we'll simply cut it out with scissors, and we'll cut them a little bit larger than the actual windows. And then we'll glue them from the back side of the structure, or the inside. Now we'll just simply glue them on the inside. Okay, next we're going to add a small vent right there. Now first we need to paint that square black. Let me show you the vent quick. So we'll paint that square black and then glue the vent on top of it. Okay, next we need to put two little ducts or vents on those squares. They're 3D printed parts. So we'll put a primer on those and add some rust to them. We need to add our two doors, our single doors. Okay, here's an easy way to glue on your doors if you're going to have them closed and you don't want them open. Take a piece of cardboard that's bigger than the opening, put some glue on it. I'm just sort of spreading the glue around. Then glue your doors to it. Then put glue around the edges. And we're going to glue it from the back side. Okay, I just painted the roof cards with a charcoal gray. So I just glued in all of the roof cards, and now I'm just simply pressing them down, making sure it's a nice tight fit. You don't want to press in the center because you'll push it through. So just go around the edges. Okay, so this is what it looks like with the add-on kit on top. The add-on kit is sold separately. So this is what you actually get with the kit. Now if you want to make it taller, you just buy the add-on kit and put that on top. You could even buy a second add-on kit and put it on the other tower right there. Make it even taller. Okay, next we're going to build two wood structures. One goes on the rooftop in between the two structures right there. Then one goes on the side. Next we're going to stain our walls. Now, I did not brace the back of these walls, but I'll put in an 1/8 inch piece of strip wood if you want to brace the back of them. I'm going very light with the stain in hopes that they don't warp. I'm going to put some weight on the back of it so that it doesn't warp. Now I'm going to stain the corner trim. Okay, I've got all the walls cut out. Now I'm going to cut out the windows and get those glued in. And again, we'll just glue them to acetate. Cut out the acetate slightly bigger than the windows and then glue it on from the back side. I broke my little wall there when I was gluing the door in place. So again, I used cardboard behind the door, so now I'll just simply glue the pieces to that cardboard. You have to be so careful when building N scale. It's so small. Now I do want to mention that all of this wood is actually HO scale. I've ordered N scale wood, but it hasn't gotten to me yet. So it'll be a little smaller in your kit. The siding will be thinner. Okay, I've got all the corner trim glued on, and before we assemble the walls, we have to add a little vent. And let me show you that quick. So we're going to paint a square on some cardboard. Any cardboard, cereal box cardboard, anything thin. Then we're going to take our vent and put it right onto the wet paint. Now we'll cut it out slightly larger than the vent so that we can glue it from the back side of the wall. Now we'll glue everything together. So we'll take this one and glue it to one of these. Now we'll go back to this one. And we'll take this wall and glue it to the back here. I don't know if that'll fit. No, it won't fit in there. So you just have to use the lines on your grid. Okay, now we can take this little square structure and glue it to the rooftop. It's glued right here, and it's centered in between the door and this other column. So hold it from the bottom, put your finger there, and then press down your walls. So there's a nice tight seal underneath that structure. Now we'll take our roof card, and there's an engraved line in it. You want that to go right to the edge because this here fits right up against it. Just like that. Again, if you want to press from underneath, very gently. So I'm applying pressure to the top and from the bottom. Okay, now we'll glue this one on. So the two walls on the end get glued to the columns on the end. Okay, now we'll take our roof card, and you'll see it has a notch on each end and one in the center. Dry fit it first, make sure it actually fits in there, and it does. It's a little bit tight here. I'll just take a hair off of that. Now again, this is the kit as it comes. You can buy this separate. It's an add-on, and add it. Okay, let's move on to the signs and the smokestacks. Okay, in the kit you'll get a black straw. You want to cut that, let's say 2 3/4. You could do 2 5/8 or 2 3/4. It's only an 1/8 of an inch difference. You want the sides that go down on the roof, you want it to sit flat. So they're going to be like this, side by side. So just try to cut them as straight as you can. Okay, then we have these pieces right here. We have to cut those all out. Now we'll first take this one . Okay, I've put together the sign frames. So you can see there's one on each end, and then you skip a bar Put a support, skip a bar, put another support, skip a bar, put the last one. So here, just glue them to the supports that are there and make sure it's level at the top. Now, the more I look at this, I don't like how light the wood is. So I am going to take murky brown and darken that up a little bit. Just going along the very bottom, making it a little darker. Okay, that's much better. Okay, I'm doing some quick weathering with winter soil. Nothing too drastic. Just going next to the columns, across the top, dirtying up the bottom. It's pretty subtle, but I don't think you want to go too extreme with N scale since it's so small. Okay, I'm working on the paper signs. We're going to add some rust. So I'm using raw umber. And you want to make sure that your dots are really small for N scale. We'll go heavier towards the bottom and heavier in the corners. We'll take some rust pigment. Now we'll go ahead and cut these out. We'll glue them onto our pieces. Now, if you don't have the add-on, just glue the sign right there on top. Now, if you have the add-on, you're going to want to glue the sign either here or up there. Okay, so here's the model so far. We're almost done. We need to spray our primer and paint all of the little detail parts that come with it. All right, I'll go ahead and get a primer on these and then rust them up a little bit and get them glued on. Special note, be very careful when breaking the or cutting off the supports. These pieces are really small and you don't want to just break them off with your finger. You want to cut them so that nothing else breaks. They are extremely tiny. Okay, the details are all glued on. Let me go over it with you. Take this off. So there's two vents right in the front. And there's engraved squares to show you where to glue those. So you have a smokestack on the roof, one on the side, and you can put that wherever. You could put that up on the roof if you wanted to. We have another one on this side. and one up top. And of course our double smokestack. Now if you buy the add-on, which is right here, and that comes with a little smokestack, you could put that right there. And then your sign could either be up on this rooftop or on this rooftop. So it could be like that. Now you could even buy another one of these and put it on top of here. Lots of options. But you know, for the longest time I never wanted to do N scale because I didn't think I could get the detail that I wanted. And this is completely detailed. I just absolutely love the amount of detail on this. I also wanted to point out the signs. Here there is 2 no parking signs. It says no parking loading zone. One there and one there. There's a office sign above the door. Don't forget, all Patreon members receive a discount on all kits. And the discount code can be found on my Patreon page at patreon.com/Jason Jensen Trains. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. It is so exciting to start doing N-scale structures. Now, I'll be producing a lot of the kits that I produced last year in HO scale, now in N scale. So look forward to that. And of course, there'll be a lot more videos on N scale. And of course, every kit that I put out, I will put an instructional video in N scale. And like always, a huge, huge thank you to all of my Patreons. I love all of you. You are tremendous. You help this channel so much and make all of this possible. So thank you. All right, again, the kit is available on my website at jasonjensentrains.com. And again, there will be a lot more N-scale kits coming, N-scale detail parts, N-scale videos. It's going to be a very exciting year. All right, well, until next time, stay motivated and happy modeling, everyone.